Hi everyone, I'm Stuart Kavanagh and welcome to the After Extra Time podcast where we talk about the big news, the big games and the big names in the English Premier League. Once again, I'm joined by journalist, Manchester United fan, editor-in-chief of the sportsbank.net, author of Transatlantic Passage, How the Premier League Redefined Soccer in America, and of course, my co-host, Mr. Paul M. Banks. How you doing tonight, Paul?
Good, man. It's a busy week. Fun times because the international break is almost over.
Oh, mate, it has been painful. We touched on this last time. The international break could actually be the worst for Premier League fans. But what have you got for us? What's been happening this week, mate?
Well, Chicago White Sox, and I am a Cubs fan first. That is true. I like the Cubs more, but I'm from the part of Chicago area that I'm from is hardcore White Sox territory, and was very, very happy to get to go to the White Sox both playoff games. Unfortunately, it was one win and one loss. Unfortunately, they're already done, but I really enjoyed wearing all black for the blackout game where all fans were encouraged to wear black. It was really fun. The second game did have some good atmosphere considering it was the middle of the day. Not as fun as a weekend night game, but they played your song. They played the Dropkick Murphys version of your song.
You Never Walk Alone, hey, by the Dropkick Murphys. I must say, I don't know if I've ever heard that version. I'm going to have to jump on Spotify and have a look for that one after we've recorded tonight.
Well, yeah, it's a good fit because the Dropkick Murphys are hardcore Boston Red Sox fans, and obviously they're from Boston. They even did a music video at Fenway Park, and with Fenway Sports Group and the Red Sox and Liverpool having the same ownership, it was a real natural, what would be the buzzword for that? Synergy, I guess they'd call it.
That is, it's the perfect word, mate. That is perfect synergy. Yeah, like I said, I'll have to check that one out just for my own curiosity. Who were the White Sox dumped out by, mate?
The Houston Astros. And for people who maybe not know much about baseball, they might know this: the team that got caught cheating, the team that steals signs.
Oh, right. Even I know about that one. Yeah, interesting. Okay, were they cheating against the White Sox? Do you know?
There are a couple White Sox pitchers ran their mouths. One guy says he thinks they are. We don't know for certain, but I mean, the way they had it set up, they had a whole system where they had cameras, and this is only in their ballpark. They didn't really effectively cheat on the road, only at their ballpark, where they would see the sign, steal them, and they would bang on a trash can as a signal to their hitters. So there was a guy maybe 2-3 sections over that kept playing. It was brilliant. He had what sounded like banging on a trash can for the three guys that are still on the team today, that are on the Astros today, that were on that team that cheated. He did that every time they came up to bat, and we're like, wow, he must have had an app, or he must have done, I don't know, yeah, like Spotify, Podbean, whatever app we use here. I was like, that's really creative. Good for him.
So it sounds like your week was a lot more fun than mine was. I spent most of the week just yearning for the Premier League to come back. Now, just a bit of disclaimer to our listeners. Being an international break, I know we came through in the clinch last time around with our transfer window special. But unfortunately, this week it's going to be a little bit more condensed. Unfortunately is probably the wrong word. Maybe fortunately, maybe you're happy about it. But we won't be having winners or losers. We won't be having winners and losers. And we won't be having the Premier League awards, obviously. But I did just want to touch on some international football news from this week. I guess, first of all, I just wanted to send out a congratulations to France for becoming the second ever side to win the UEFA Nations League. Brilliant goal from Karim Benzema in that game. It was absolutely phenomenal. I copped a bit of crap from my housemate because he's a bit of a Real Madrid fan, and I've always said I don't really rate Benzema. Benzema's done a good job of shutting me up this season so far. He scored 10 goals in 10 games. And he's come back to the national squad, and he's just scored goals for fun, and he scored an absolute beauty that got him back into the game in the final of the UEFA Nations League.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I felt last week may have been our best episode ever, and that is no slight against any of our other guests, but having Brad on from Atlanta Blues and just it's probably the best football focused segment we ever had with the Christian Pulisic. In that Pulisic episode, I was like, wow, an international break episode, and it went over an hour and may have been the best episode we've ever done.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. It was great to have Brad on. Shout out to the Atlanta Blues and the Chelsea Supporter Club there.
And in terms of my international news, I really wanted to use this as a chance to I am no fan of Greg Berhalter, the United States men's national team coach. I just go back to the fact that his brother Jay Berhalter was in the front office at the United States Soccer Federation, ranking, depending on who you talk to, either the number 2 guy in the organization, maybe he's the number 3. He did leave; he's not there now, but this is, see, Otis doesn't like Berhalter either.
Absolutely. Otis famously hates nepotism. So thanks for that, Otis.
Yes, that's exactly what Otis just said there. He says he's like, he is against nepotism. That's what he was saying. Yeah. The Chicago is where the U.S. Soccer Federation is headquartered. It's actually, there's a little house on the south side, and there's like a little sign outside that says, it's just the corporate office. It's just it's the headquarters, but it's not really anything more symbolic, just kind of but it was at the Chicago Auto Show when I had an exclusive with Berhalter, and I asked like a lot because he was appearing at the Volkswagen section of the auto show because of their deal with US Soccer. And he was a nice guy. He was fine. He was very professional. Nothing wrong on that level, but I just don't. The fact that they didn't even contact Jesse Marsh, the fact that they disqualified Tata Martino because they think he didn't speak enough English, the fact that Julian, I don't know, I'll probably butcher his name, Lopetegui, the Spain coach who contacted US Soccer and was interested in the job. These are all guys they could have gotten instead, and they didn't.
Yeah, it's incredible because Jesse Marsh is probably one of the more talented head coaches on the planet at the moment. He's doing a great job at the Red Bull franchise there, and it's incredible that they didn't even contact him. I wasn't aware of that. That's interesting. Interesting that Berhalter's still there. His position. Surely it's got to be tenuous after the loss to Panama during this international break.
Yeah, I think the worst part about him is that, you can credit him for opening up and saying, yeah, I experimented with the lineup, or I did this, or I got this wrong. Sometimes he does come clean. He owns up to his mistakes. Sometimes he says, okay, I shouldn't have gotten too cute with what I was doing here, but my God, man, save that for friendlies. How have you not figured this out by now?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. But I actually got my dates mixed up, and I was lucky that just off air before we started recording, you filled me in on the latest qualifier for the USMNT. We both had a look at Sergio Dest's goal to open proceedings. What a screamer that was in the victory over Costa Rica.
Yeah, that's great. I actually I'll be at a card show this weekend. I'll mention that and plug it at the end. But I was at a card show in the summer where I picked up a Sergio Dest autographed soccer card, and I'll definitely bring it to show off, and we'll see if I get a good offer on Sunday, because obviously I'm sure there's going to be more interest after that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What a phenomenal goal.
It was incredible. It was actually it was the opposite side. But it was almost a copy of the Karim Benzema goal in the Nations League final. Same type of hit from outside the box. It was a beauty. And just to dot the I's and cross the T's as far as the Costa Rica match goes, Costa Rica scored in the first minute to take the lead. Looked like they just chucked a Hail Mary cross into the box and managed to bundle one in. And then there's a bit of conjecture over whether the winner was scored by Tim Weir or if it was an own goal. But I guess it doesn't matter to anyone except for Tim Weir at this point, because the USMNT got the 3 points.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There is a lot of doom and gloom about this program and about where they're going. There's a lot of anxiety about whether they're going to qualify or not. But at the end of the day, it's, Berhalter is a little bit like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in that he does enough to survive. And tonight was, again, they give up a goal right away. I believe we did an episode during the Honduras qualifier in which they didn't even put a single shot on goal for the entire first half. And as we recorded, then they went on to win that one 4-1. So that's the thing about them. They can make things so easy, but they refuse to.
So I guess as long as he keeps them towards the top of the CONCACAF octagonal, which is what they like to call it, you'll be stuck with Berhalter at least till the end of the 2022 World Cup.
Yeah, I would say I don't think they're going to stack him if they qualify.
Yeah, so which is kind of a shame because the writing's on the wall. A couple of blokes like you and I can see it already. It's not gonna be great at the World Cup with Berhalter running the show, unfortunately. So yeah, one other thing actually, there's two more things I want to touch on as far as international goes. So the Socceroos actually broke. I think I might have touched on this last international break. That they'd equaled the record for most World Cup qualifiers in a row. Won, not drawn, not lost, obviously, just all wins. They actually broke that record with their 11th straight World Cup qualifying victory, only for it to be promptly the streak to be broken in the next fixture against Japan. So Australia still remains in pole position to qualify from the Asian Confederation, but bit of mixed news there. They broke the record, and then they had their streak. Ended. And the other thing I want to touch on is we have our first official qualifier for the Qatar 22 World Cup. Germany winning their game through goals by Kai Havertz and Timo Werner, and also Romania doing them a favour by defeating Armenia. Saw them as the first team to qualify for the Qatar 22 FIFA World Cup.
Isn't England in too after that? I know Germany was first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think they drew with Hungary to qualify as well. Is that right?
It sounds about right.
Yeah, so England and Germany, interesting. That would make for a tasty World Cup final if that was the case. Not for England fans because England don't beat Germany. So, but it would be a great game to watch. Let's move on to our football focus section, Paul. And there's only one thing to talk about at the moment in the Premier League, and that is the takeover of Newcastle United by the Saudi Sovereign Fund. So Newcastle's takeover was completed. The Saudi Sovereign Fund completed their purchase for about £300 million of Newcastle from hated former owner Mike Ashley. There's some there's a bit of scandal about it, just concerning whether the Saudi Arabian government is having any say in how the club is run, considering their human rights issues and stuff like that. But we're just going to focus on the club here, just for a bit of perspective. The Manchester City owner is worth £23 billion. This Saudi sovereign fund that now owns Newcastle United is worth £320 billion. Newcastle are now officially the richest club on the planet. What do you think about that, Paul?
Well, to me, that's the most interesting part of this game. I always, I'm an interesting person in the way I got into the sport. It's different in that I got into the transfer window first, and then the on the pitch, and then that then led me to get into the geopolitics, the big money, the business side of it, and that's just fascinating. I mean, we just had a Champions League group stage game between Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester City, and what that really is a World Cup game between the nation of Qatar and the United Arab Emirates, because and I think now Saudi Arabia has a team. I don't I know they've issued a statement saying that the government's not going to be involved, and they're claiming that it's going to be more autonomous. But at the end of the day, this is no different from when, I don't know what it's like in Australia or other countries, but here in America, we have teams that have media figures who work for the website. They work for the web channel, the in-house thing, and they call them reporters. And you're not a reporter.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a reporter because you can't report on your own boss.
Yes, there's no such thing as objectivity in those cases, is there?
Yeah, exactly. You're a mouthpiece. You're part of the communications department. So that's why I say this is going to be Saudi Arabian. It's going to be owned by the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund. It's going to be owned. The government will have a say so because they are the boss. You can't go against your boss. Where does this put them? Well, yeah. So now are they going to be in that rarefied air with PSG, City, and to a lesser extent Chelsea? Chelsea has that crazy spending habits because they have an owner who's not as wealthy as those other two I mentioned, but he's right up there.
Absolutely. It's interesting that when Chelsea came in, I think Abramovich came in 2003, maybe 2005. I think it was 2003 though.
It is 03. You are correct.
Yeah, so he came in and everyone was like, "Oh, look at this! A billionaire just buying a club as his plaything." And then just over the years, with your Manchester Cities, your Paris Saint-Germains, and I guess now we have to mention Newcastle too. Chelsea is sometimes forgotten in that conversation. But anyway, listen, they're going to be a rich club, and the first talking point I've got here is probably the one that we're going to see an answer to rather quickly. New manager. Have you heard anything about a new manager at Newcastle United? Because surely Steve Bruce cannot be handed the keys to this golden ticket.
The last thing I saw a couple of days ago linked him with, I guess he had some kind of crunch talks or some kind of meeting to try to keep his job. So he's not sacked yet, but they haven't won a game yet in the league. They're the penultimate side, so they're right there, just out of the bottom. Yeah, he's gone before too long. I did write something about Frank Lampard.
Okay, how interesting. Frank Lampard.
And then it gets even more interesting. There's an idea that, they've got the Japanese guy, Takeo Tomori, who's already there, and then getting Pulisic over there.
I definitely want to talk about players because I've got some. I've read some interesting news too. But just to Otis knows something we don't know there about the players. We'll have to ask him again shortly.
He's got some transfer rumors apparently.
So just to put a bit of a capstone on the new manager thing, it's interesting that Frank Lampard has been discussed. Obviously, I follow Liverpool news, being a Liverpool fan, and there is heavy suggestions that Steven Gerrard could be poached from Glasgow Rangers to take the reins at Newcastle United also. So that's interesting. I think, of course,
Antonio Conte has been linked.
I do think.
Who's the other big name manager that's out there right now that's a free agent?
Zinedine Zidane?
No, I was thinking of him, but I did not see him on there. I saw another.
I do think someone.
Notice just said Zidane is not on their radar.
Okay. Well, lucky we've got We've got the person with the hottest scoops in the game here. The cat with the hottest scoops in the game to let us know. Just on the Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard situation, I do think one of those guys would be good in kind of, I guess you can compare it to the Mark Hughes role that he played at Manchester City.
Get down, get off there, get out. Yeah, okay, we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he was whining and crying so much, because I wasn't paying attention to him, and he was jumping on things and knocking stuff around he shouldn't have been. So,
oh, God damn.
Okay.
So yeah, I do think that Steven Gerrard / Frank Lampard, they could be good in kind of that Mark Hughes role that he played at Manchester City, taking him from that lower mid-table club to maybe a top 6, top 8 club. I do think that would be interesting. And, you know, obviously I want Steven Gerrard to come back and manage Liverpool to a few Premier League titles too. So it'd be good if he just dipped his toe in the water with Newcastle for a couple of years and then brought himself home to Anfield to win us a couple of titles. Now, you mentioned Christian Pulisic, and who was the other one that they had been linked with?
Oh, I think the Japanese guy Tomori is already there on loan.
So my news, I'm going to start at the bottom. Felipe Coutinho has been heavily linked. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain also, and then we'll step it up a gear here. Apparently, Fabian Schär has the same agent as Timo Werner. In January, allegedly, Newcastle are going to launch a £60 million bid for Timo Werner. The last one is probably the most outlandish, but would be absolutely incredible. Apparently, there is Amanda Stadley, whatever her name is.
Stadley, I believe has a 10%.
Yeah, she's
ownership stake.
She's like the face of the takeover. Apparently, this is according to the tabloids in the UK. She's been telling anyone that'll listen that they are going to match. She's been telling anyone that'll listen that Newcastle are going to match Daniel Levy's evaluation for Harry Kane in January also. So this is just simply incredible stuff. I mean, you could probably take a lot of these rumors with a pinch of salt, but you know, these rumors have to start somewhere. And while I don't think all of these transfers will go through, I definitely think some will. I do think that they're going to turn some heads in the January transfer window. So that's just some incredible news that I heard. The Timo Werner one, I was like, wow, this is getting ridiculous. And then I actually just read this morning that allegedly she's been telling anyone that will listen that they're going to match Daniel Levy's valuation for Harry Kane in January. So there you go.
Whew, that's a lot to dive into right there. But yeah, Amanda Staveley is definitely been the public face. Definitely, you know, on the business side, kind of like the new leading figure for the club. So, you know, I'd seen Graham Potter and Eddie Howe also linked as potential managers. But I have seen the Gerrard, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. I do think. Go on, sorry, mate.
No, I don't really know. I would imagine that Steve Bruce is going to be gone soon. I imagine that we know the January transfer window is the junior varsity one. It's the smaller of the two, but they're going to splash the cash and they're going to starting getting busy for sure. And I also wanted to say Gerrard is, I guess, when is Klopp's contract out? So if he went to Newcastle and won a couple titles, and then when do you think he would get the keys to Anfield?
I think it's 2024-25 season when that season starts. That's the first season Kloppless, shall we say, at Liverpool. And their contracts do expire. At the moment, the contract of Rangers and Klopp's contract at Liverpool, interestingly, both expire at the same time. So, yeah, I guess watch this space. Okay, so we've done enough of the football manager stuff, new players, transfers, new manager. Let's move on to something that we're probably more qualified to talk about, Paul. Where you mentioned they're currently sitting in 19th spot. Realistically, where will they finish this season?
Well, here's the Mike Ashley era. I'm gonna run it back reverse chronologically.
Okay.
2021, 12th. The year before that, 13th, 10th, 18th, 15th, 10th, 16th, 5th place finish in 11, 12, 12th, 18th, 12th. So that's 14 years with no trophies except for winning the championship twice.
That's
they
interesting.
have not had a real trophy since 1955, and they have not had a league title since 1927.
Wow, that's interesting. I guess that kind of rolls over into the last point I've got here a little bit, but there's some good symmetry there. There's some good symmetry there.
Synergy.
Yeah, with the 1927, because it could be about 2027. All things going well before they're actually a force in English football, so that would be interesting. Realistically, this season, I mean, as you mentioned, they're sitting in 19th place. One thing we didn't touch on with the transfers, new managers situation, was financial fair play is a thing that's being enforced. How heavily, we don't really know, but it's going to be difficult for them to just go out and splash heaps of cash on different players, the way Chelsea did in the beginning, the way City did at the start as well. But let's say they get 2 or 3 big names in. Let's just say, for argument's sake, they sign Felipe Coutinho and Christian Pulisic. Is that enough to see them lifted out of the relegation zone and finish, lower mid-table?
I think this year it's about escaping relegation. I think the next, depending on how fast they can get guys in and who they can get and how many of them, I would say within 2 or 3 years, you become one of those mid-table teams that would be at all times managed by one of the following people: David Moyes, Sam Allardyce, Alan Pardew, Tony Pulis. You know the guys. It's like the same retreads.
Mm-hmm.
It's that same mix of Everton, Southampton, West Ham, Crystal Palace, those teams. They can try to be that.
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe 2 or 3 years after that, you're competing for trophies.
Yep. So that's interesting. I do wonder how relegation would throw a spanner in the works here. Kind a bit of a cynic in me is fuck. It'd be great if they got relegated, just to set them back a couple of years, because I'm already I don't know if jealous is the right word, but I'm unhappy that they've become a plaything for these 100 billionaires. So it would be interesting to see how that plays out. I think they probably will get a bit of a bounce with a new manager and maybe escape relegation this year, much like you said, just survive the Premier League. And then moving on to how long until they become a force. I think you've got the timeline pretty much spot on there. 5-6 years before they'll be a genuine force. I mean, they might have a bit of an outlier season where they, everyone else is down a level or two, and they jump into the top 4. That could accelerate that growth. But I do think that in 5 or 6 years' time, I don't know who they're going to displace from the current top 4, or the big 6, or whatever you want to call them. But I think they'll definitely be a permanent fixture in 5 or 6 years' time. So happy days for Newcastle United fans.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the issue. You want to move up, but who moves down then?
Honestly, as long as it's not Liverpool, mate, I'm happy. So, there you go. There's a very condensed look at the Newcastle Takeover. It is very new. It's less than a week old. I'm sure there'll be cause to maybe have another football focus about it when the new manager's in place and maybe the transfer moves start getting made and all the rest of it. But for now, that's let's put a cap on the football focus the Newcastle Takeover.
My God, this cat he is so needy and clingy tonight.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so loud and attention whoring. My God. Don't let anyone ever tell you that cats are aloof and they don't care about you and only dogs love you. And
You're here to tell me that that's not true, mate?
this is like having a kid.
Okay, Paul, game week 8 is here to rescue us from the boredom of another international break. And there is a buffet of great matches for everyone to feast on this week. Kicking off with Watford hosting Liverpool.
Only when it's raining.
Watford, of course, with Claudio Ranieri at the helm after surprisingly, maybe not surprisingly, sacking their coach again. How do you see this one going, mates?
Yeah, I think there's always a bounce with the new manager, at least initially. And I believe this might be his 9th or 10th team, including the national teams he's managed. So I'm going to go with them.
Wow. So Watford, so you go on the big upset right from the off the cuff, mate. Watford to take points off of Liverpool. I do agree.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just doing it to best of you.
Honestly, I do agree with the new manager bounce thing. I don't think that they'll beat Liverpool, but it wouldn't surprise me if they manage to jag a draw. Our defense has been suspect the last couple of fixtures. There's question marks over Diogo Jota as well, whether he's going to line up for the team. Curtis Jones also got injured for the under-21 squad. But moving right along, so this is the regular kickoff, not the early kickoff. Apologies, the Watford-Liverpool game is the early kickoff on the Saturday. The 3 p.m. kickoff, though, the fixtures start with Aston Villa and Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Yeah, Wolves have had such a tough season. Some of it's deserved, some of it not. They made some of their own problems. I like what Villa's been able to do in the wake of losing Grealish. So I'm gonna go with them.
Yeah, I must say, Brad's impassioned defense of Ollie Watkins last week, along with Danny Ings as well. I think they've just probably got the firepower to maybe get one over Wolverhampton here, and I'm going for a 2-0 victory, Aston Villa. Next up, this is one of our feature games. It's Leicester City taking on Manchester United at the King Power Stadium.
Well, I'm glad we're featuring this one because that's the thing about international break. You even start doing your previews on Wednesday because you're just so sick of the break and nothing else to talk about by that. And I had a chance to really look at the fitness situation. It is not good. While the Newcastle Takeover was undoubtedly the lead in terms of Premier League news this international break, I would say that the injury to Rafael Varane is probably second. And I honestly think when they say a few weeks, and some people are saying 4 to 6, don't be surprised if it's longer than that. His partner in central defense, Harry Maguire, the team captain, is still not training. So you're going to have to go with your second choice at both center backs. And I think that's a problem. And I am going to say 1-1 draw.
So what is the Varane injury? What's happened there?
All I know is that it's a groin injury. It's an injury that's muscular in nature. So, a muscular problem means it's not structural, but I don't know. The groin is the sensitive area, the sensitive subject. So.
Absolutely. All the men out there know what we're talking about. You want to avoid a groin injury. Yeah, that's a massive loss for United. I guess the only thing that could be kind of spun positively is hopefully he's back before that packed Christmas schedule if it is a 2-month layoff. Leicester City haven't been great. Brendan Rodgers has got some real problems there. I'm going to go for a bit of a goal fest, and I think maybe 3-2 victory to Manchester United. I know Manchester United are going to be vulnerable, but I do just think Leicester City have just been bad so far this season. So, I'm going for a Manchester United win there, mate. Oh, I almost forgot about my fast facts that I like to come with our feature games. Leicester actually won their last meeting with Manchester United. Back in May, they won 2-1, but they have not won consecutive league games against the Red Devils since September 1973. And on the other side of the coin, Manchester United have lost just one of their 15 Premier League away games against Leicester. Leicester? Why can't I talk today? Against Leicester. Against Leicester over the Premier League journey. Their only away loss to Leicester come under Louis van Gaal when they went down 5-3 at the King Power Stadium in 2014. So take that for what it's worth. But yeah, I'm going.
United are better on the road, so that's something.
Okay, so you've got a draw between Leicester and United. I've got a victory for the Red Devils, but I do expect there to be goals, and I think the pressure's going to be ramped up on Brendan Rodgers if he doesn't right the ship at the Foxes soon. Maybe your mate Gary Lineker will take over, seeing as he's such a big Foxes man.
Yes, my best friend on Twitter, Gary Lineker.
Okay, next up, talk about goal fest. Manchester City take on Burnley at the Etihad.
Oh God, that's just like a 6-0.
Yeah, so massive.
I don't know. I mean, Burnley's tough, and they could play tight, but it's just that's what you get with Manchester City. Yeah. You'll get your stock results, but then you get those like 5-0s, 4-0. You know.
Yeah, it is kind of all or nothing this season for Manchester City. They've either been swatting teams off the park or struggling to score. I do think that they probably won't have too many trouble scoring against the Burnley defense here. And I echo your 6-0 prediction there, Paul. I think it's going to be a bad day for Dyche and the Clarets. Next up, in the 3 p.m. kickoffs, Norwich City are taking on Brighton and Hove Albion, two clubs whose fortunes couldn't be more polar opposite. I have a feeling that I know what you're going to say about this one, Paul, but why don't you just say it anyway?
I'm not picking Norwich until they ever give me a reason to.
This is another sentiment I echo. Brighton have been incredible. They're right up there in that tie for third spot at the moment, along with Manchester United, Manchester City, and Everton. I do expect them to pick up all 3 points here away at Carrow Road and keep the pressure on the big boys a little bit. So at Norwich City, okay, let me ask you this question: do you think it's likely that Norwich won't win a game this season?
Oh no, I don't think we're ever going to see that. I think last year's Sheffield
United. Yep.
You think that was probably about as bad as we're ever going to see a team, and they won a few.
Yeah,
a couple.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Well, we'll definitely maybe that'll make Norwich a little bit more interesting. We'll see. We'll be on Norwich victory watch and definitely make a big deal about it when they finally get it done. The last 3 p.m. kickoff is at St. Mary's with Southampton hosting Leeds United.
Yeah, I don't know what is wrong with Leeds other than they just got found out. I mean, they were really tough out for everyone last year. They're coming back to the league was I think good for everyone involved. Great rivalry in Northwest England. That said, I'm still not buying Southampton. I went out on a limb last time and picked them and it backfired. So I'm going to go with the Lily Whites in this one.
Okay. It's interesting to note that Leeds United and Southampton are in 16th and 17th place on the table. Southampton are one of only 4 clubs in the league yet to register a victory. I don't think they'll win against Leeds, but I also don't think Leeds will win. They're having a real sophomore slump this year. I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to say it's going to be a draw, probably 1-1. That's not going to help either team too much, to be honest. The late kickoff on a Saturday is a London derby that is not familiar to the Premier League. It's Brentford taking on Chelsea, which should be a great game. We're huge fans of Brentford here, be leavers, if you will. And they take on Chelsea, who are a formidable outfit this year.
Yeah, I mean, believer that I am. I still have Chelsea was my pick to win the league, and there's no reason for me to back off that now. I think the Blues take this, but yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it is a London derby, and it's one that we'd have to look up the stats, but I don't think these two teams have met too often.
Yeah. Now I'm sure people will correct me if I'm wrong, but Brentford is West London. And so is Chelsea, right? So it's actually a West London derby. I'm actually this is my upset of the week. Despite bigging up Chelsea there, I feel like Brentford are going to do something spectacular here and really give the home fans something to cheer about with a victory, another goal fest victory. Geez, if the fixtures go ahead like I'm predicting them to, we're going to see a shitload of goals this weekend. You are picking Chelsea for this one, mate?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Chelsea 3-1.
Next up, we have our Sunday kickoffs. The early kickoff is Everton under Rafa Benitez against David Moyes' West Ham United side that really could be considered, the best of the rest cup final, kind of. These two teams definitely are up there. Probably Brighton are up there too. I guess when they're on form, Arsenal and Tottenham could be in this conversation as well. But as things stand, Everton versus West Ham United at Goodison Park. Paul, how do you see this one happening, mate?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with West Ham. As I consistently say, I think they are the best of the rest champions for this season. But I totally agree with you. This is definitely a matchup of the two teams that are definitely at the top of that list to get those Europa League places. Again, as I've said multiple times in this show, I've been wrong about the Revolution at Goodison Park. They seem to be exceeding expectations, but then again, they've had some fast starts in recent years, so we'll see if it fades again.
Absolutely. I'll put my hand up. I was wrong about the Revolution also. But I will echo your sentiments. I do think West Ham will win. I just think, simply put, they've got a better side, and they are the best of the rest this year. So I think West Ham will take care of Everton. Let's say 2-1. Now this is probably a bit of a first. Our next feature match does not feature any of the title favourites. It's Newcastle ushering in the new era with new owners and potentially a new manager on the bench, taking on Tottenham at St. James's Park. St. James's Park is going to be hopping for this one, and I just thought it'd be fun to make this one of our feature matches. What have you got for this one, Paul?
Oh, I think Spurs got this. I mean, they started fast, faded quickly. They've been kind of a mess, but I hear what you're saying. I feel you. I know there's going to be all these good vibes, good feelings around the stadium, but I don't think it's ready to transfer to results on the pitch yet.
Yeah, I do think you're right there. I think the only thing Newcastle got going for him is Alan St. Maximin. He's an incredible player who can win a game off of his own boot. It'll all be on his shoulders if they do manage to win. But here's some fast facts for this one. Newcastle are winless in their last 4 home league games against Spurs, drawing 1, losing 3, since they won 5-1 on the final day of the 15-16 season. And on the other side of the coin, Tottenham have dropped 4 points from winning positions against Newcastle in the Premier League just last season, with the Magpies netting 90th and 85th minute equalisers in the 2 games to snatch a tie on both occasions. So that's interesting too. I'm going to go with a Newcastle snatching a point again. Let's go Callum Wilson snatching a point in the 90th minute, making it a 2-2 draw with Spurs, and just a little bounce of optimism there for Newcastle. And then last of all, just let me double check this list. Yeah, last of all, we have Arsenal, another London derby. It is Arsenal taking on Crystal Palace. at the Emirates Stadium in the Monday night kickoff. How do you see this one going, mate?
Ooh, Monday Night Football. Well, I would have to go with the Gunners. I think they're starting to get it together a little bit. I think they could be a solidly mid-table side this year, and they're showing signs of that. I wouldn't. I think they're going to escape relegation. I don't think they're going to contend for trophies, but I think they've got too much talent.
They're going to escape relegation. Arsenal, are you talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, I think yes. I think Arsenal will escape relegation. Also, Hector will be happy to hear. But I've just got a funny feeling that Patrick Vieira is going to get one over on his old side here. I'm not basing this on any kind of study or anything like that. It's just a feeling I've got in my stomach that I feel like Crystal Palace may be 2-1 victors over Arsenal here. So there you go. That wraps up the fixtures. There's our preview segment. Take it as gospel. I wouldn't if I was you, but you can if you want. And we'll revisit this next week and see how we've gone. Paul, as always, my friend, it has been a pleasure. How's your week ahead looking? Anything exciting you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yes, tomorrow I will be appearing on Sports 56 in Memphis, the Fox Sports radio station, WHBQ. I'll be on at 4:45 talking about my book and maybe some Tim Howard too, because he was player owner of I believe it's a USL side down there. He even featured himself in a game at like age 45 or like something crazy a couple of years ago. But
wow.
Yeah, in fact, you know what? I better do some prep before the show tomorrow. I better double check all that. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then on Sunday, I've got a book signing at Orland Park Civic Center, sportscardsandmoreshow.com to get more information on it. It's the Orland Park Civic Center. Admission is only $1 for adults. Kids 12 and under are free. And I saw the signs they made, which look fantastic. So it's going to be great to have this big sign with a blow up of the cover of my book. And then I can take that with me to other future signings. Pretty close to where I grew up, so that's going to be fun. There's going to be an article on it, talking about it coming up. That should come out tomorrow or Friday, and I will definitely share that as well.
So there you have it. Paul's got a jam-packed week. Go see him at Sports Cards and More Show this week. You can find out more information at sportscardsandmoreshow.com. Also listen to him on the radio tomorrow at Sports 56 in Memphis. Their website is sport56whbq.com. Sounds like you're flat out, mate. So that's some exciting stuff you got going on there. For me, as usual, I just want to plug the Sunny the Sloth children's books. You can get them there on Amazon. I will drop the link in the episode description. That's it for another episode of After Extra Time. Be sure to follow us at our Twitter account at AfterET_podcast. Come on, guys. Who's got at After Extra Time? Contact me. Let's work something out. I want that handle. Be sure to get all your latest football news at thesportsbank.net. And last but not least, show the third member of the pod some love by following at Otis Ginger Tabby on Instagram.
He is now sleeping. It's great. And I apologize for people who heard me raise my voice earlier, although some people have told me they think it's funny when he starts meowing and acting up and then I scream at him. But he got what he wanted. He loves to drink out of the tub. And I think he was just trying to tell me, like, go turn the faucet on in the bathtub so I can get my water. And as soon as I did, now he's all chill and snuggled up next to me.
He's had his drink from the tub, and now he is ready for non-ites. That Instagram, again, is at Otis Ginger Tabby, or one word, on Instagram. Also, follow Paul at Paul M. Banks on Twitter. Follow me at Stewie is Sick of It on Twitter. But for this week, he's been Paul Banks. I've been Stuart Kavanagh, and this has been After Extra Time.